The great Yoruba people. Join me on an incredible journey as we delve into the rich and vibrant culture of the great Yoruba people. From their ancient traditions and customs to their stunning art and architecture, we'll explore it all. Discover the fascinating history, myths and legends that have shaped this incredible civilization. Get ready to be amazed by the beauty, diversity and resilience of the Yoruba people. Eledumare, the supreme, omnipotent and benevolent God in Yoruba religious tradition. He is the ultimate source of power and creativity. He is associated with the concept of destiny and often depicted as compassionate and protective. Eledumare ordered Obatala to create the earth. However, he indulged in palm wine and got drunk on his way. A contemporary Orisha to the former Oduduwa took the items of creation from him, descended from the abode of the Orishas on a chain and cast a handful of earth on the primordial ocean. Eledumare, the earth rose became a mold called Okewa, and then put a 5-toed cockerel on its primordial mold so it would scatter the earth around, thus creating the land on which Ile-Ife, the first city, would be built. Oduduwa planted a palm knot in the hole in the newly formed land, and from there sprang a great tree with 16 branches, a symbolic representation of the 16 clans of the early pre-urban confederation. Eledumare, Oduduwa created the world. He also became the ancestor of the first divine king of the Yoruba, while Obatala is believed to have created the first Yoruba people out of clay. The meaning of the word Ife in Yoruba is expansion. Ile-Ife is therefore a reference to the myth of origin as the land of expansion. The word Ele is pronounced in the modern Yoruba language means house or home, which would make the name of the city means the home of expansion. Eledumare, the Orishas are divine beings in Yoruba religion, each associated with specific elements of nature, human qualities and various aspects of life. These deities are central to the Yoruba pantheons and play an essential role in Yoruba spiritual practices. What follows is a brief description of some of the most well-known Orishas, their attributes and their significance. Eledumare, Eshu the messenger, is crucial in the Yoruba pantheon, as every ritual or sacrifice must honor him to ensure that communication with other Orishas is clear. He is seen as a playful but wise and protective. Ogun, the god of iron, war and labor, represents the transformative power of labor and industry. He is revered by people who work with metal and is often invoked for strength, protection, and success in battle or challenging task. Eledumare, Shango, the god of thunder, fire, and justice, represents power, authority, and leadership. He is a symbol of righteous rule and justice. His energy is invoked for protection, strength, and leadership, and to call down the divine justice in times of injustice. Yemoja, the mother of all Orishas, goddess of Ogun, is revered for her maternal qualities and is a goddess of abundance and prosperity. She represents creativity, life, protection of families and communities. Eledumare, Oshun, the goddess of love, beauty and rivers, is the goddess of love and wealth. She is invoked for matters related to love, fertility and financial success. She considered the most compassionate of the Orishas, offering emotional and spiritual support. Obatala, the Orisha of purity, wisdom and justice, is the Orishas of clarity and truth. He is invoked for guidance in difficult situations and for matters relating to fairness, peace and ethical leadership. Eledumare, Oya, the goddess of storms, wind and transformation. She represents the power of change and transformation. She is invoked during times of great upheaval or when there is need for personal or societal transformation. Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom, knowledge and divination, is considered the custodian of wisdom and is highly revered by the practitioners of Ife divination. She helps guide people towards the right decision and understanding of their destinies. A journey through the great Yoruba kingdom, the Ife kingdom. The spiritual and mythical origins of the Yoruba people. It is the important religious center for the worship of Orishas, the gods and goddesses. The place where life and civilization began according to Yoruba mythology. Ife was the first and most revered Yoruba kingdom, ruled by the Ile-Ife, who is considered the spiritual leader of the Yoruba people. The Uni is seen as a direct descendant of Oduduwa, the legendary founder of the Yoruba civilization. The current Uni of Ife is Oba Adeyeye Etan Ogamosi Ojaja II. The great Yoruba kingdoms. The Oyo Kingdom. A Yoruba empire, it was one of the West Africa's greatest civilizations. Its political systems, military strengths, and cultural impact made it a dominant force for centuries. Even today, the traditions of Oyo influence Yoruba leadership, governance, and religion. Great Yoruba Kingdom. Ijebu Kingdom. The Ijebu Kingdom is one of the most culturally vibrant in Yoruba history, with its Ojun Aba festival, powerful Awanaje kings, and deep-rooted traditions. The Ijebu people continue to play a major role in Yoruba and Nigerian society. Yoruba Standard Orthography, or modern Yoruba writing systems. Samuel Ajayi Crowther, born 1805, passed 1891, was a Yoruba linguist and the first African Anglican bishop in West Africa. He was born in Osogun, which is now Oyo State in Nigeria. Crowther was a Yoruba speaker and translated the Bible and other works into his native language. He was ahead of his time. These facts alone deserve celebration. His Bible translation was also remarkably effective, and his approach to the study and practice of mission was way ahead of his time. Widely known as a gentle, modest man, Samuel Crowther was responsible for successfully opening up the Yoruba kingdom to the gospel as a missionary bishop for the Church Mission Society. He employed a compelling dialogue approach, using local languages and scriptures. Indeed, he translated the entire Bible into Yoruba, spoken mainly in West Africa, including Crowther's home in what is now Nigeria. Yoruba was, after all, his mother tongue. Yoruba Standard Orthography, or modern Yoruba writing systems. Key features of Yoruba written format, or standard orthography. The use of diacritical marks or accent for tone differentiation. Yoruba is a tonal language meaning the tone of a word changes its meaning. The uses of Latin script with additional letters. Yoruba writing follows a structured system of tones and special letters and contractions to maintain clarity and accuracy. Proper use of tone marks is critical to avoid changing meanings. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. In the UK, it is a government that negotiates and signs treaties. Once signed, the document must be scrutinised by Parliament to confirm that the UK agrees to be bound by it. The treaty, which was negotiated for the Crown and signed on the Crown's behalf on the 23rd of July 1888, was ratified by the Crown on the 16th of June 1890. The treaty was negotiated and signed in person by the Ile-Ife of Oyo on the 23rd of July 1888, was ratified by him on acceptance of the consideration of £35 5 shillings on the 16th of June 1890. It is now British law. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. The 1888 treaty recognised the Yoruba Kingdom as a nation equal to Britain in status. What follows are direct quotes from the 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. Direct quotes. Treaty between Adeyemi, Ile-Ife of Oyo, and head of Yoruba land, and Her Majesty the Queen of Britain and Ireland, July 1888. I, Adeyemi, Ile-Ife of Oyo, and head of the Yoruba land, the four corners of which are, and have been from time immemorial, known as Igba, Ketu, Yiba, and Oyo, embracing within its area that inhabited by all Yoruba-speaking people, being desirous of entering into and maintaining forever friendly relations with the subject of Her Majesty the Queen of Britain and Ireland, and of developing the resources of Yoruba by means of legitimate trade with the subjects of Her Majesty and those under her protection, or who may thereafter come under her protection, and in gratitude for what the Queen has at so much expense and risk to life done from time to time for my country, have at this day at the city of Oyo, in the presence of witnesses, declared my intention of abiding by the following articles. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. Direct quotation from the treaty. 1. From henceforth there shall be peace and friendship between the subjects of Her Majesty, the Queen, and those under her protection, and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, the King of Yoruba land, and his people, and all other peoples over whom he has authority and influence. 2. The subjects of the Queen may always trade freely with the people of Oyo and the Yoruba-speaking countries in every article they may wish to buy and sell, in all towns, rivers and creeks, water and markets, and places within territories known as Yoruba. And I, Adeyemi, pledge myself to show no favour and to give no privilege to the traders of other countries, which I do not give or show to those of the Queen. 3. British subjects and others under the Queen's protection are to have the first consideration in all trade transaction with my people. 4. No toll, duties, fees, imposts or charges shall be charged or levied upon the person or property of any British subject or other persons under Her Majesty's protection, other than and beyond that of those which are customary and reasonable, or may from time to time be agreed upon to be levied or charged by the Governor of Lagos and myself. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. The 1888 treaty recognized the Yoruba Kingdom as a nation equal to Britain in status. Direct quotation from the treaty. 7. It is hereby further agreed that no cession of territory and no other treaty or agreement shall be made by me other than the one I have now made without the full understanding and the consent of the Governor for the time being of the said colony of Lagos. In consideration of the faithful observance of the foregoing articles of the agreement, the Government of Lagos will make unto me a yearly dash to the value of 200 bags of cowries. But such dash may, upon breach or neglect of all or any one or more of the provisions of the agreement, and at the discretion of the Governor of the Colony of Lagos, be altogether withdrawn or suspended. This treaty is signed and sealed by Oyo this 23rd day of July, 1888. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. The 1888 treaty recognized the Yoruba Kingdom as a nation equal to Britain in status. To join the campaign to enforce the 1888 treaty, contact the Yoruba Party UK. Email address info@yorubapartyuk.org or website address www.yorubapartyuk.org. And there you have it. This is the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking. Yes, I'm feeling good, people. I'm feeling good. You who are watching this intro video, I know, will be astonished by the information just shared. That actually, the 1888 treaty between the Yoruba people and Britain recognized the Yoruba land's, independence, its sovereignty, and sought to engage in trade negotiations and secured preferential trading rights for Britain with Yoruba land. Later on, in about, he says, 35 minutes or so's time, we're going to have leaders of Britain's Yoruba people present here on the Motivators Show. Not only discussing the rationale, the legal basis upon which Yoruba land should be considered an independent state, but we'll be looking at the history, the culture, the tradition, the genius that is the Yoruba people. It'll be so pleasurable. Let me assure you, it has been quite a ride for these past few days for me to study, to understand yet another great culture in Mother Africa, the cradle of mankind. The pleasure. As I get older, I become more stimulated. I feel younger. My brain is, I tell you, it is fantastic. You will enjoy it. But before that time, we have much to do. So first of all, welcome and thank you for sparing a few minutes to gaze upon the motivator. Yes, I'm appropriately dressed, but I'll be amongst true royalty shortly. Okay. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Not to say, just for the record though, that the other cultures, the other traditions that I will feature, have featured and will feature in the future are no less. I'm recognizing as I research, as I study, he says, our history, my history, yeah? My sense of pride, my sense of recognition, yeah? My sense of elation, every research exercise, each cycle, I become even more confident, far more confident. I say to God, as I say to parents, teach your history to your children. I say again, teach your history to your children. And I say not simply your immediate culture history, I mean the wider African history. And through that process, I'm assuring you, every child will gain the energy and understanding of our culture, our traditions, our ancestry that was attempted by others intruders to erase. But that was a fallacy. It was never erased. That was a failed project because we are here today and the culture traditions intact. Yes, some have been devastated, but the majority remain intact. Yes, yes. I want you all to shout with a vigor and an understanding that sort of ancestors can hear us. Yes, yes, loud, loud. Shout yes, yes, yes. We're going to meet the great Yoruba people soon. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, let's go right into it in that case. Let's go right into it. First of all, before I move any further, I want to recognize past contributors to this podcast, those who've made the podcast what it is, those inspired, particularly Africans who've been here, who have shared their knowledge, their wisdom, and has raised consciousness, confidence amongst the peoples. And in doing so, this is a part of that reparations process, because reparations begins with self, with you taking control of the knowledge that you and your children, your family, your networks absorb and filter through our lens, not some other man's lens, okay? Very, very important. I want to give praise and respect, of course, to those, of course, who've been able to hear not too long ago, who recognize the greatness of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie, yeah? And of course, the founders of the Rastafari way of life, biblical understanding. I want to give praise and respect to Ras Paulus Hussein and his brethren who were here only a few days ago. I respect you. Praise Jah. Rastafari. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I want to give praise and respect, of course, to the Pan-African, he says, Continental Unity Party members. The young men, you watched them, didn't you? You observed them, didn't you? Were you not proud of them? Their intellectual clarity, yeah? Their understanding of the facts, yeah? Understanding of history, and the determination recognizes in unity is strength. In unity is strength. Oh yeah. I give praise and respect members, those Pan-Africanists who are, of course, the African Continental Unity Party. We'll get them back again, don't you worry. They were just absolutely, overwhelmingly prideful people. They had that pride, beauty, magnificence. Oh yeah, the future of Africa is safe in their hands. With their determination, their energy to succeed, nothing will get in their way. No matter how many obstacles are placed in their way, they will push them out of the way. Africa unity is a must. Is a must. I also want to give praise. And you remember that wonderful, remarkable young lady, a bit bashful and all that. But remarkable African genius. And her colleague, Graham, who came, two examples of African geniuses, Emily and Graham. And they've discussed how to achieve Africa's future technologies and inventions, okay? They were a demonstration of what is possible, yeah? What is possible? Busy bodies, huh? Yes, yes. And in coming podcast, I will demonstrate, have African geniuses present who've made inventions, okay, just to show the technological advancement you see across the world is happening in Africa also. Don't let the propaganda machine say otherwise to you. Mothers, fathers, yeah, guardians, ensure your children are well taught, have high ambition for them, push them so they achieve higher level learning. Don't allow just laxness is to be the reign. Push them so they achieve higher level learning, and in doing so, they tap into their genius and they will astonish the world. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Long may it continue so. And of course, the first guest I had in these studios were, of course, leaders of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tahido Church, and indeed members of the Royal Ethiopian Judah Coptic Church. Why them? Because, of course, Ethiopia, yep, the country that was never colonized, yeah, the country that stood firm in the face of significant foreign intrusion into Africa, the country that retains its culture traditions, it's fully intact. I say praise Jah unto all Ethiopians. Praise Jah and Rastafari. Oh yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Hey, Rastafari Association. Yes, yes. I say unto you, long may you continue your great works. And we will do more in the future. I feel so good, I tell you. Every podcast I prepare, and as a result of that preparation, I have to tell you, I'm empowered, truly empowered. I've lived a lifetime of truly intense propaganda. Yeah, intense propaganda. To where I still see many Africans, particularly the diaspora, who much prefer to go to Europe and other places than go to Africa for their holidays, because they've absorbed the negative propaganda about our ancestral homeland. Huh? That will change. Let me say again, that will change. And because together we will advance Africa's interest. Praise Jah, Rastafari. Okay, enough of that for the moment, because hey, I could go on. But what I want to do right now is go to the next phase of this podcast, which is the all-important lifestyle messages. I need you, many of you, in fact, all of you, to pay attention, because we must pay attention to our health and well-being, both physical, mental, and spiritual health. Far too many members of communities die long before their time, or are right now weighed down with clinical medical conditions that are directly related to their lifestyle, the food you eat, yeah, how we live, the lack of exercise, lack of hydration, poor mental health, yeah, low spiritual esteem. We can and we will combat it. Together, we hold hands and join with each other. Together, we will combat it. Yeah. If I've studied the Yoruba people these past few days, past few weeks, past few months, I'm assure you, we can. The genius exists amongst us to combat any malady that might befall us. Oh yeah. That's how confident I am. Thank you, Yoruba people. Thank you, thank you. If there was any doubt in my mind, you've eradicated such doubt. Come on, but applaud yourself, applaud yourself, applaud yourself, applaud yourself. Ring loud, clap and respond. Hear yourself, hear your confidence. Yeah, your ancestors are shouting, they're hearing you. They're shouting, they can hear you. Praise be, praise be, praise be. Oh yeah. So let's go into the lifestyle message. Yes, I'm on a high. I'm on a high. Thank you, Yoruba people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd love to meet you, Uni. I'd love to meet the Ile-Ife. Well, there's so much there. Anyway, let me go there. I tell you. But for now, I want you to take on board these lifestyle messages. These are serious messages. These messages are for you. These messages are designed to help you to better understand the issues that befall us, the issues that are holding too many people back right now, the issues that if we do not address together, will become your bane. By that I mean, this becomes your curse that holds you back. You have to ingest all manner of pharmaceuticals just to maintain a living. You don't want that. It can be prevented. It can indeed be managed properly, but you have to pay attention to what your body and your mind and your soul is saying to you. Oh yeah. Now take it on board what we're about to do then. Let's take it all on board now, okay? Let's bear in mind that these lifestyle messages are not for me. I gain no financial status from this. It's not for me. There is no big up for me here. This is just common sense advice. And I want you to listen carefully, okay? Listen carefully. Ready? Here we go. The Motivator Show. Success is ours for the taking. Lifestyle messages. We ask that you consider the amount of sugar and salt consumed each day. There is a direct causal link between the overconsumption of sugar and type 2 diabetes, prevalent particularly in the African heritage communities. It is estimated that more than 2 in 4 have either a diagnosed condition of diabetes or an undiagnosed condition of diabetes. Here in Britain, the NHS spends more than £26 billion treating people with diabetes, which is a condition for life. Too much salt in our diet disrupts the natural sodium balance in the body. This causes fluid retention, which increases the blood pressure exerted by the blood against the blood vessel walls, or high blood pressure. The potential impact of too much salt can include enlarged heart muscles, headaches, heart failure, high blood pressure, kidney disease, kidney stones, osteoporosis, stomach cancer, and strokes. Another lifetime condition. We ask that you consider the amount of carbohydrates consumed each day. typically derived from wheat-based produce such as pasta and other related wheat-based products, and of course root vegetables such as potatoes and the yam. And yes, I did say yams. Excess carbohydrates intake places a large metabolic load on the body. When the body constantly has high levels of blood sugars to deal with over time, this leads to weight gain, poor metabolic health, and an increased risk of heart disease. We ask you to consider the amount of fat that you consume each day. On the screen, you can see raw meat. Clearly, the red meat is meat, but the white streaks you see in the meat is fat. Our bodies need healthy fat for energy and other functions, but too much saturated fat can cause cholesterol to build up in your arteries, in other words, our blood vessels. Saturated fat raise your LDL or bad cholesterol levels. This can increase your risk of heart disease and neurological strokes. Too much fat is linked to increased risk of obesity or fatness, coronary heart disease, and certain types of cancers, such as breast and colon cancers. On the screen, you see a partially blocked arteries, mainly made up of fatty acids and other ingredients mentioned previously. The blood is being forced through the partial blockage by the heart. Another consequence is, of course, increased hypertension or high blood pressure. Examples of starchy foods include potatoes, bread, pasta, cereals, and rice. Excessive consumption of starch, scientific studies have shown, may cause insulin resistance, in other words, diabetes, may cause skin irritation, many of us will recognize as eczema, may cause gastrointestinal irritation. Many of us will recognize these conditions. On the screen, you can see the examples of the consequences of our lifestyle. Excessive consumption of sugar and salt, carbohydrates, and fat and starch. You see the young lady and gentleman with the bloated shoulders, bloated chest, bloated abdomen, bloated thighs, and bloated bottoms, or buttocks in polite company. The consequence of our lifestyle. The prevalence of obesity amongst black women in the United Kingdom is significantly higher compared to the general population. Approximately 58% of black women in Britain are classified as obese. This rate is considerably higher than the average obesity rate for women across all ethnicities in the UK, which currently stands at between 30 to 32%. This is a public health emergency. The prevalence of obesity amongst black men in Britain is also notably high. Approximately 38% of black men in the UK are classified as obese. This rate is higher than the average obesity rate for men across all ethnicities in the UK, which is around 27 to 29%. This is a public health emergency. The experts recommend that we should eat fresh, untainted foods, including tomatoes and oranges, melons and beetroot, noriega and avocados, grapes and apples, lemons and cabbages, lettuce and cherries, bananas and cucumber, and pears and onions, sweet corn and pineapples, carrots and cauliflower, garlic and sweet pepper, lemons and many other fruits and vegetables which are untainted and are good for you. The experts recommend that we should ensure that we consume between 2 to 3 litres of water per day. It does depend upon your height and your mass. You see on the screen a young man drinking his water and a young lady enjoying her water. The advice given to you about our lifestyle will not mean anything to you unless you exercise. To exercise for life. You see the young lady with her weights, pumping her weights. You see the mature gentleman running with his headphones in with a smile on his face. You see a young lady running up and down those stairs. Oh yeah, that is real exercise. You see the young man pushing up and down with his push-ups. This is exercise. Our bodies need exercise. It is important for us always to consider our mental and spiritual health. If you have concerns about your mental health, please seek out professional advice or speak out to those you most trust. I trust that they will seek out the right advice and support for you. And of course, as human beings, we are truly spiritual entities. It is important to speak to your spiritual advisors. The Motivators Show. Success is ours for the taking. And be assured, success is ours for the taking. Yes, I mean those words. We mean those words. And I'm really heartened by the number of our viewers and our listeners who's taken on board these basic lifestyle messages and incorporated those advice and guidance as part of their lifestyle and responded. And they're now exercising, paying attention to what they eat. They are, of course, enhancing the quality of their lives. I'm heartened by, particularly across Africa and the Caribbean, who people have come together in common aim and common purpose, and recognizing if we do this together, we go much further. It's more resilience. You're less likely to fall off. And in doing so, you set the example for our children. Indeed, for our children, could we incorporate healthy living, healthy lifestyle as part of their everyday consciousness. That's one of the greatest contributions we can give to our children. If they are able to acquire that lesson and becomes a part of their consciousness, their lifestyle, we enable them to live longer, healthier life. What I'm heartened by, therefore, is those who I've encountered, those who I speak to on a regular basis, who've heard these messages, yeah, and have responded, who've come together in common aim and common purpose. And there are groups of people locally to where I live who've come together in common aim and common purpose. I want to recognize them. Yep, I've been helping a number of them to find facilities so they can exercise together, regardless of where you come from, particularly from Africa, from South Africa to Nigeria, from Ghana to Tanzania, and from Ethiopia to Gambia, and from Gambia to Sierra Leone. Yeah, oh my gosh, I tell you, people to come together in common aim and common purpose. Yes, it is true. It is absolutely true. From Burkina Faso to Jamaica, people to come together in common aim and common purpose, recognizing if we do this together, we're more likely to stay together and continue the task of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. I want to give you an example of a group of people who've come together and are demonstrating it works. because they're exercised together and they're becoming healthier together. They call themselves the Countdown Organization. Yes, Ishmael, I recognize you. Yes, Cardi, I recognize you. Master, I recognize you. Well done. You're growing in numbers. Many people gravitating towards you. Here we go. Watch them at work. Oh no, at play.
Cheese. Famous. Hello, 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 hello.
They're exercising. Look at that, huh? Even the children are there. There's some big people there. Oh yes, but they recognize exercising, good food, exercising, good food, with hydration, positive mental attitude will transform lives, live longer, healthier, stress-free lives. We do it together, don't get alone sometimes. Do it together, you see them? Hey, see Ishmael there? Yeah. We get him back in the studio. Let's talk, huh? Oh yeah. Look at that. It's happening. It's there before you. It's there before you. Example for people come together. Common purpose. Understanding if we do this together, we go a long way. All their resources, they have the facilities. Come from different places, across this case, London. Understanding, we work together, anything is possible. In unity is strength. In unity is strength. Look at that. Oh yeah. Those bodies, eh? Oh yeah. Oh, I'm having too much fun here. Oh yeah. Are you doing that in your neighbourhood? Come on, come together in common aim and common purpose. Exercise together. Don't be a lone ranger. Do it with others. In unity is strength. Regardless of the ethnic or cultural background, regardless of the language you may speak, come together in common aim and common purpose. You want to eat what you want, we go down the belly. Exercise, huh? Oh my God, I've been trying that myself. Balance where you go, die left na all the money on. So why for the greedy you say for? If you're the motor car where you let buy 'em. If you see finance where you collect bill 'em. Oh, you meet top woman where you let piano 'em. And if you let the man na for keep 'em. Want them more. The food where you feel for eat some for eat 'em. That fine the power where you let na for buy 'em. And tie 'em more. And if you baby love you back love 'em. But if you love them all now you na for left 'em. Want them more. Cause nobody know what you do. Look at that, huh?
So
and they do this on a regular basis. You don't have to be just Nigerian or Tanzanian. You don't have to be Ghanaian or Jamaican. You don't have to be Gambian or indeed from Zimbabwe. You don't have to be South African and Trinidadian. Come together in common aim and common purpose, understanding of all human beings.
Oh no.
Ishmael, huh? Well done, Ishmael. You see Martha there. You see Cardi in the background there. What a team, huh? And since this video, the numbers have multiplied many times. Oh my God, yes, I'm dancing. Yes, I'm dancing. I know, I'm dancing. Oh, fantastic people. It's a pleasure whenever I meet them. I'm further encouraged that human beings can overcome all hurdles, all the propaganda that divide us, we can overcome them. It requires a mindset, a reparations mindset. Remember, reparations begins with self. You altering your mental state so that you're ready to receive the information that will truly empower you. That's reparations. Starts with self. Then we can seek out reparation for these other people, of course. But first of all, internal reparation is the basis, is a must. That's what's happening here. I say to those members of what they call themselves the Countdown Organization, well done, well done, well done. I suppose if you live in South London, particularly if you live in Southwark here in South London, and you want to reach out, you want to join them, they meet every Monday. Let's see if I got the details handy here. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. I think is this the right one? Is this the right one? Yeah, there you go. They meet at number 12 Tatum Street, okay, which is London S for sugar E17 1TN. Every Monday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. If you wish to reach out to them, and to say again, you wish to, and it's free of charge to utilize the exercise facility. So to the email address is countdown at 0405 at gmail.com. Countdown at 0405 gmail.com, or you can contact them via mobile. If you're in the UK, it's 07960 803 588. I commend the Countdown organization to you. As an organization serious, they have most certainly translated words into action, because they now meet every week on a Monday between 6:30 to 8 p.m. and they exercise together. That is the future. Collaboration, cooperative activities. Collaboration, cooperative activities. That's the way forward, okay? So those who are a little weak are upheld, those who are a little stronger, okay? And when those who are a bit stronger feel a little weak, those who are a little weak will become stronger. That is the nature of human civilization. Not unlike the great Yoruba civilizations, who have most certainly astonished the world, One of the pleasures in the more recent research I've been engaged in is understanding the power and the strength of human beings. But before I get to that interview, I did want to give two very quick announcements. Now, the first announcement is, of course, a scandal here in Britain. It's referred to as the Windrush scandal. I know Windrush refers to a vessel that sailed between Britain and the Caribbean, but it affects those in Africa as well. Yeah, the so-called hostile environment created by what we call the Home Office. You might call the other thing the State Office. The office that's concerned with internal regulation, as it were. Create an environment that those who have a legitimate reason and status in this country have made it extremely difficult for those people to survive in this country, and as a result of a series of acts of parliament, okay? But those who are affected by the Windrush scandal, don't be put up by that title if you're from the continent of Africa. I urge you to seek out legal support. I'll put it on screen. And they were here in these studios, the members of the Windrush Legal Advice Clinic, based in 58 Bank Street in the West Midlands, postcode WV148PD. If you need that advice, please reach out to them. Their email address is info@windrushlegaladviceclinic.com. I say info@windrushlegaladviceclinic.com, or telephone number, again in the UK, 01902 382 542. I urge you to seek out and obtain the legal support that you are entitled to. I say again, you are entitled to. I also want to give another quick announcement, and this is an important one. Those who were affected by an unusual hurricane that impacted the Caribbean, particularly the islands of Grenada and Jamaica, and their homes and villages were devastated by this unusual hurricane. Unusual because it occurred right at the beginning of the traditional hurricane season. What was unusual about it? It was a devastating hurricane, more than the Category 5, in other words, more than 100 miles an hour winds, destroyed homes and properties, yeah, and of course took lives. Yeah? It was a devastating experience for the islands of Grenada and Jamaica. So people here in Britain come together in common aim and common purpose and establish the Hurricane Beryl Disaster Relief Fund. The organisation that's leading this is P&P UK. What they want to do is continue to acquire, and I will show later this month, being the 1st of February, the following item. They need help to acquire perishable food, bed kits, sheets and pillows, kitchen. This is children and adult diapers, tarpaulin, sink, and other building materials. Much has already been raised, and we're going to share with you some examples, both of how the money was spent and hear from those who directly benefited. Okay, they will be here on the Motivator Show later in February. But if you can contribute, we need to continue to contribute. It is via the NatWest Bank, and sort code is 600802, account number 298-61233. And if you put in the reference DRF Beryl, in other words, Disaster Relief Fund Beryl, thank you in advance for those of you who are able to contribute. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And together we will make the difference. Okay? Together we will make the difference. There are a few other announcements I could make, but I'm not going to do so. What I want to do is now move to the focus for today's podcast, which is, of course, the great Yoruba people of West Africa. Yeah? Mainly focused in Nigeria, but most certainly across the neighboring countries in West Africa. They are a remarkable people, a quite remarkable people. And I say that with pride, a quite remarkable people. I've had the pleasure to do a piece of research, okay, a piece of research. And each time I do the research, I'm immensely proud of African peoples. I'm most certainly proud of the Yoruba people who survived the Mahafa, in other words, the great disaster, the foreign intrusion into Africa, and which led to the devastation of many civilizations. And still today, more than 98% of Africa's manuscript artifacts and icons are held in foreign museum or private collections. Here in Britain, Britain has tens of thousands of artifacts, manuscripts, icons from Africa, tens of thousands. Germany the same, France the same, Italy the same, Belgium the same. Yep. Yeah, Rome the same. Yep. Our history, our culture and tradition have been held captive still today by Europeans. Yeah. I paused there. I wanted to sink in. In other words, much of our memories has been held captive. It's been held captive by those who intruded into the continent of Africa. I just wanted to just hold that thought. Even till today, they have refused to give back what was stolen. Astonishing, huh? Absolutely astonishing. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Ashamed of yourselves. But of course, for many Africans, it has been debilitating, particularly those of us of the diaspora. Absolutely debilitating. Not to suggest those who remain on the continent were not devastated. But certainly, it was a truly devastating experience for the tens of millions, hundreds of millions of Africans who now live outside of Africa. You look at them, you know they're Africans, but they themselves have been cut off too long from their source. And so more than happy to take on another man's identity. Yeah, it's true. It is true. But I've raised consciousness has resulted in great change. The wave of evolution is taken over because it's in our genes. Because Africa is in our genes. And often, I know tens of millions of us feel it in our genes, in our blood. They can feel it. You can feel it, the urge, the awareness, just there, just waiting to be tapped into. Today, we're going to meet leaders of Britain's Yoruba community. Let's see. Let me see if we can bring in the first of them now, because this will be a truly inspirational experience. Anyway, let's go for it, huh? Let's go for it. Let's see if I can bring that person in now. Here we go. First stage. Okay. Here we go. First stage. Oh, yes, he's here. Oh my gosh. Look at that face. Isn't that a face of authority?
I've been there since 8:40.
Yes, I know you were there. Isn't that a face of authority? Absolute authority. Sir, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on the Motivator Show. Good morning to you. Good morning to you.
Thank you for inviting me.
It is our pleasure. It is our pleasure. Wow. Can I just say you're slightly off center for my screen at the moment. It's slightly off center. There you are. That's it. You're better now. There you are. That's better. That's better. Now then, first of all, thank you for sparing the time. Now, I know you. Yeah. Olusola. I know you, but I want you, please, to introduce yourself to my audience. Please just state your name, the organization, first of all. And lastly, I also want you, please, to share with the audience an example of a person or event that shaped your life. Over to you.
Okay. I don't know whether my name has appeared on the screen, and you would have seen that I have two titles, Bahashegun and then Doctor, before my name.
Okay.
Now, the Bahashegun tells you that I'm an Oloye, I'm a chieftain of Yoruba land.
Mm-hmm.
Bahashegun means, the full title is Bahashegun Alabe. That means a master surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
A master surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor, the title doctor, is because I am a trained doctor. I qualified at Ibadan in 1973. Mm-hmm. And then since then, I've trained as a surgeon in the UK. I have fellowship of England and Scotland, the colleges of surgeons of England and Scotland, and also the colleges of West Africa and Nigeria. In addition to that, I have qualifications in law. I have qualification from Cardiff, LLM from Cardiff, and GDL from De Montfort University. I'm a retired orthopedic surgeon. I used to be a member of the General Medical Council. I was from 1999. It was that experience, in fact, that got me to go and qualify in law. I'm also a retired judicial office holder. I used to sit on tribunals in the Social Security Chamber of HMSC, that is His Majesty, not Her Majesty, His Majesty's Court and Tribunal Service. That's really is a brief introduction to who I am. Now, the person that I think influenced me the most was my grandmother.
Ooh, okay.
I lived with her from 1955 to 1960. And it was because of her, or a promise that I made to her, that I became a doctor.
Oh, wow.
Even though at school, I was better at, art subjects. Okay. Not really science as such. But because I'd made promise to her that I was going to be a doctor, I was about 7 years old. I'd made this promise that I was going to be a doctor. And I kept my promise. The second promise I haven't kept, actually, to be honest, because the second promise was that I was going to build her a hospital.
Oh, okay. You still have time. You still have time.
Well, I don't know about that. So that's me in general. The only other thing I would say, because I don't want anybody to mistake me for anything else, I'm a Yoruba nationalist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Yoruba traditionalist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a Yoruba monarchist. So right. I don't want anybody to mistake me for anything else. Okay. So basically, that's who I am.
That's very clear. That is very clear. And I can see that you've strove to achieve high academic performance. Is that as a result of your urging from your parents, or is that just simply just you? Tell me, where did you get that urge for higher academic performance?
Okay, my parents were teachers.
Ah, okay. Yes, I understand.
Okay. In fact,
I
my father
understand.
has a BA of the University of London.
Hmm.
And when Awolowo introduced free primary education to Western region,
Yes.
my father was asked to set up the teacher training college at Ibadan, the very first one at Ibadan.
Okay.
And when he set up the teacher training college, there were no textbooks. So he wrote the textbooks for the
Oh,
teachers.
wow.
So he wrote.
Okay.
So he wrote about geography, history, mathematics. The things that the teachers are being taught. My father actually wrote the text for them because there were no textbooks. Uh, uh, so I've, if you like, lived in an environment of teaching. And then
Yes.
when I was born, my mother gave up teaching, but set up a bookshop.
Oh, gosh.
Uh,
Yes. Yes. I
so so
understand. I
so
understand
so
now.
so although my mother gave up teaching,
Mhm.
she then went into she had a bookstore. My mother used to import sporting goods from India and Pakistan in the 50s.
Mhm. Look at that. Look at that. Wow.
You know,
Immense pride for your mother.
so that's
Immense
basically. I mean,
pride for your mother. Yes. 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 I
she's still
understand
alive.
you,
She's
sir.
she's going to be 99 this year.
Oh, please extend our best wishes to her. Yes, and I look forward to
I
her
should do. I
century.
should do. So.
We need to, if she, no, when she reaches the century, I'd love to speak with her directly here on the Motivator Show.
I can tell you that she's as bright as a button.
I'm sure she is.
She's as bright as a button.
I look forward to that. I'm going to hold you that one. Okay, I'm going to hold you to that one because we need to speak to those who have who are our forerunners, who have set the foundation for us to achieve. And that first knowledge you're
That's right.
exhibiting, okay, it typically comes from your family settings or the urging from those around you, okay, which is why I wanted to
That's right.
focus that for a few minutes. And I noticed that's a characteristic amongst many Yoruba people I encounter. Yep.
We seem to have. I'm trying to choose my words here. We seem to have
Yes.
something in our DNA
Mm-hmm.
that has to do with education.
Yes. Yes.
We Yorubas seem to have this urge to learn. I don't know why. And we also have an urge to travel. For example, my grandfather lived and died in Ghana.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Even though we have no idea now exactly where,
Why?
and we have no idea how many relatives we have in Ghana.
Ah.
I also have
Okay.
relatives in Sierra Leone.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, in fact, in 1973, I went to Sierra Leone and met some of them.
And how were they?
So fine, they're fine. They're still there. Some of them are still there. So so the Yorubas generally we value education. I think is the modern word. We value education. We also value travel. We're like
Yes.
itinerants. We travel everywhere. we travel
We
everywhere.
travel everywhere. It is true. There's definitely some special qualities as I completed my research in preparation for a bit of this podcast about the Euro people. The culture is intact. And we're going to get to that later on in this podcast. I want to address that. But I just want to create some context for this interview and to help the people to better understand the Yoruba people. And my research suggests that, of course, in Yoruba land, there are it's got a very long history. Okay, there are bones there more than 130,000 years old have been found in Yoruba land. Yeah, okay, and of course it is curious, and I need to ask this question: why is the city of I believe you pronounce it Efe, considered the starting point for the
Ife.
Yoruba people? Why is it considered the starting point, your
Okay.
place of origin, as it were? Please explain.
Okay. Okay. Now, what I'm about to tell you
All
is
right.
not what I read in the books.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm about to tell you is what I was told by my grandmother, so who was told,
Well,
generations
oral
back.
tradition.
This is
Yes.
not something. This is not something read in the books.
Mm-hmm.
The story was that at the beginning of time,
Mm-hmm.
the earth was covered with water,
Yes.
Omi,
The water world.
and there was
Yes.
also the sky, Orun.
Okay.
And what happened was that Obatala came down from the sky with sand, which he then spread on the water. And that was how land began.
Mm-hmm.
And it began at Ile-Ife.
Ile-Ife.
And the story had to be authentic because Ife is not located on a flood plain. So you couldn't say, oh, well, there was flood everywhere anyway, and therefore the people were bound to say it was water world.
Mm-hmm.
Ife is not on a floodplain. And the other thing to know is that this Yoruba story of the origin of the earth, has been confirmed by science. So this is not something that's made up or whatever. This has been confirmed by science.
Mm-hmm.
So we Yoruba, we originate from Ile-Ife. So that's our spiritual home.
Right.
And if you go to Ife today, there is a chain which is supposed to be what Obatala came down to earth with. So, if any of your audience happen to visit Nigeria, they could go to Ife and confirm what I've just said. That at Ife today, there is a place where the chain that Obatala climbed down from the sky is there.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know if you want me to continue because the importance of this story is the Yoruba concept of what you would call nation.
Okay.
Orile-Ede. All right? So Yoruba land is Orile-Ede Yoruba. That is a land that is exclusive. A land that is exclusive to Yoruba speaking peoples. That's Orile-Ede. And also the fact that all the people who tell us we have come from Mecca, we have come from Egypt, they're talking absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. We have been peoples of Yoruba land from time immemorial. Yes. We didn't come from anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, and
we originated in Yoruba land.
I understand, and I just want you, if I may, just to give a little more explanation, because you mentioned Obatala, and I recognize
Obatala.
Obatala, that's right. And I also recognize as part of my research and we have this most certainly in the Caribbean and most certainly in parts of the Americas and Brazil, the Orishas, an understanding of the Orishas. Can you just for a few moments here, just explain how the Orishas, where they fit into the memory, the culture and traditions of the Yoruba people?
Okay, I'm glad you asked me that because I was going to that anyway.
Okay.
That the importance of knowing that we originated from one spot, from one center, is that we are mono-ethnic.
Yeah.
Did you understand that? We are
Yeah,
the Yoruba are entirely mono-ethnic. We are
explain
pure.
that. Oh, right. Explain that. Right. Okay.
There's no mixture with anybody else. We were absolutely pure. And we are located in Yoruba land, which is enclosed by natural barriers. You have the River Niger in the north, the River Niger in the east, the Atlantic Ocean in the south, and what is now the Benin Republic. But before the Benin Republic existed, we were all along the coast of West Africa.
Yes.
And do you know how I know that? Because the Berbers of Morocco, if you follow the West African coast all the way from Morocco, all the way down, they were in contact with the Yorubas in the 12th century.
Right.
And they wrote about the Yoruba in the 12th. So we'd been in contact with the Berbers a long time ago, and they wrote about the existence of the Yoruba people.
Right. Okay.
Now, some people will tell you, oh, they came from Mali. Absolute rubbish. Our contact with, in inverted commas, Arabs didn't come from the north. It came along the western coast of Africa.
Okay.
Now, the Berbers of Morocco, they no longer call themselves Berbers. They regard themselves as Arabs, but they are not Arabs. They're a mixture of Africans and Spaniards. That's what they are.
Okay.
They're a mixed race,
Yes.
but they claim themselves to be Arabs. Now, I'm now going to come to what you are saying. So we are monoethnic. That means we have our own distinctive custom and tradition. Absolutely distinctive. Whether in the way we dress, in our religion, in our language, and a variety of other things. I will now talk about the Orisha. The Orishas are deities. They're like heroes of the past.
Yes.
Even though my family is Christian, but actually on my mother's side is the Ogun deity. Because they were blacksmiths.
Yes.
Ogun is spelled O-G-U-N.
Yes.
Because my mother's family were blacksmiths. So the deity of the blacksmiths is Ogu. And if you go to my family compound today in Ibadan, in Kudeti Ibadan, you will see the stone that represents Ogu there.
Now, this is interesting because
I've known it since I was a child. It is still there.
Yes.
And then
would you mind
on my
in that
father's
case,
side,
go ahead. Yes.
bro,
Yes.
on my father's side is Omi. That's water.
Right.
Again, it's a deity. You know, people who are heroes in the past and who are being venerated by the present. So when you hear Shango, Ogu, Yemoja, Oya, and so on and so forth, these are deities, if you like, people that have been heroes that are venerated.
Thank you.
But now, with the advent of, when the Europeans came, when the British came, they then turned them into gods. They were not gods. They were venerated. They were deities that we venerated. We didn't worship them. So that's the story of the Orisha. It is also important, I think, at this stage that we talk about Ifa. I don't know if you've ever heard of Ifa.
I most certainly have as part of my research, and I focus on this in our intro video. Can I, before you go to Ifa, just for the benefit of the audience, what I want to do is play a shortened version of the intro video, which gives light and explains the Orishas. We've only got 2 to 3 minutes. Just pause. We just
Okay.
want to just play it just for the benefit of the
That's fine.
audience. Okay, here we go. I just want to make sure
That's fine.
it's understood. Okay, here we go. And let me now bring up on the main screen. 1 second. There we go. Bring up on the main screen. 1 second. There we go. There you are. There you are. And I will maximize that in a second. I'm going to play this now. Just watch this, people. I want you all to watch. This is an important aspect of our collective heritage. I say again, our collective heritage. Here we go. Oh, it's not going to work now. Oh, that's not going to work now. Oh, my best laid plan is not going to work. I will stop that. Don't you worry. It's not going to work from here. Don't you worry. Continue, sir. I'll take this off the screen. Continue.
Okay. I don't want to advertise myself or anything like that.
Oh, please
But if
advertise
you
yourself. You're the leader of the Yoruba people here in Britain. You may advertise yourself. Continue. Oh,
If anybody is interested, you can read about Ifa and Orisha in my book. I wrote a
go
book
ahead.
on Yoruba medicine,
Mm.
which was published on Amazon. You can read what I'm talking about the Orisha deity, and I particularly want to talk about Ifa as well. There is Ifa and there's Odu, ODU, and there's Ifa, IFA. And it is very, very common for these two matters or issues to be conflated. They are
Right.
completely different.
The great Yoruba people.
Completely different.
Mm-hmm.
The Odu is a compendium. It's a literary corpus of 256 chapters. Now, because it was impossible for people to memorize everything in those 256 chapters, because the Yorubas didn't write. So you had to commit things to memory. And because it was impossible for a human to commit all the contents of the 256 chapters to memory, Yoruba invented Ifa. Ifa was the key to the Odu.
Mm-hmm.
So I compare Ifa to your iPad. Ifa actually has a tablet in which you then throw, if you like, stones, from which you can then determine what is in whatever box, whatever chapter of the Odu. So there are two completely different things, the Ifa and the Odu. And I compare the Odu in its intent to the Bible, to the Jewish Bible, and to the Islamic Quran.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have exactly the same intent. It's a book. So the Odu is a book of knowledge. It so happens that the people who have access to that knowledge are those who can practice Ifa, the Babalawo.
Huh.
And they are called Babalawo because Babalawo, the Awo, is the tablet I'm talking about, the iPad.
Yes.
That's why they are called Babalawo.
Mm-hmm.
The master who has the tablet. That's what Babalawo means.
Yes. Well, and this has survived.
But because of Christianization, everything has been distorted. Go on, I'm listening.
No, it is well. It's the fact that this has survived the intrusions that lasted hundreds of years, which I'm fascinated by. It's how you managed to retain this, your culture and traditions. As
we go along, I will come to all that. I will come to the explanation why the Yoruba culture has persisted in the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
There is no other African culture that has persisted in the Americas. Of all the slaves, only the Yoruba culture has persisted in the Americas. And the best time to see it is if you had the 31st of December, the New Year's Eve in Rio, for example, which I've had the opportunity. And you see how people go into the sea with candles to Yemaja. These are Christians. These are Catholics, by the way. They go into the water with candles, send it into the sea, talking to Yemaja. And these are people who have never been to Yoruba land before.
That's right. Yeah, it's true.
And then there's a carnival, that people in Brazil and in the Caribbean, they enjoy, even now in London.
Yes, yes.
And this has come from the Egungun festival.
Yes.
To those of your audience who are not Yoruba, it's spelled Agungun. So you can Google it.
Yes.
Now, there are many interpretations of what Egungun is. But we'll leave that aside. The fact of the matter is that it is reproduced. It is reproduced in the New World, in the Americas, where our forefathers were taken.
Okay.
So not only did they left here, Yoruba land, Orile-Ife Yoruba, and still kept their tradition.
Yes.
It's absolutely amazing.
I agree. I agree.
There's one other thing that I think I should quickly talk about before we move on to something else.
Okay.
The Yorubas were urban dwellers. The Yorubas were obsessive urban dwellers. They were not just urban dwellers. They were obsessive urban dwellers. And because they were urban dwellers, they had to create a constitution. Do you understand? Do you understand that?
I do. Yes. Continue. Yes.
Because they were urban dwellers, they had to create a constitution, an unwritten. The British Constitution is unwritten, just like Yoruba Constitution.
Yes.
And I call the Yoruba Constitution the Constitutional Oba. Oba is spelled OBA. The Constitutional Oba. What this means is that for the governance of an urban settlement, small or great, there's an Oba at the top.
Yes.
And there is a council of nobilities, Igbimo.
Right.
Those two governed the urban center. And that system of governance is repeated every single dwelling place in Yoruba land till today. In spite of the fact that the British ruled us for 46 years, and then Nigeria for another 65, that system of governance has persisted. It has not changed at all. And I, as an Oloye, I am entitled to sit in that council of elders.
Right. Yes.
So I don't want to sound big-headed, because sometimes when I say this, it sounds as if I'm being big-headed. We Yorubas are unique in so many ways.
Yeah.
And we will come to some of it, as you ask questions.
Okay. I will do so. And thank you for that. That explanation has provided some context.
We will come to some of
Yep, it provided some context for us. There's a slight delay on our reception at the moment, but I'm sure we'll overcome that shortly. It is well.
That's right.
But you have provided some context, and I believe that has helped many of the audience to better understand the Yoruba people and their influence both across the continent and across the diaspora. And indeed, we are practicing Yoruba culture and traditions and have forgotten the origins of our culture and traditions. Okay, but you from Yoruba land can go to Jamaica or Trinidad, go to Brazil or the United States, and see yourselves reflected both in image and in practice. It is astonishing. But I know as a child, I recognized the for example, and their
Exactly.
strengths that they provided to us. It was our connection with our ancestors, so that we have
Exactly.
some mental and spiritual basis from which to
Exactly.
find ourselves. Otherwise,
Exactly.
we would have been both physically and mentally crushed. Okay, so
Exactly. Exactly.
thank you for
Exactly.
holding true. Thank you for holding true.
Exactly.
I might, at this point, just for the benefit of the audience, I just want to go over the Orishas, because believe it or not, Doctor, there are many hundreds of millions of us out here in the diaspora who recognize the Orishas and the important role they play to secure our psychology. Can you imagine being away from
That's right.
the source? Yeah,
Yes.
for
Yes.
centuries.
Yes.
Okay, and not having
Yes.
the benefit of being able to practice your culture and tradition openly. Okay, how
Yes.
mentally,
Yes.
indeed physically debilitating it would have been for you if you could not practice your own culture and tradition openly. Mhm.
Yes.
And for many in the diaspora, this was practiced in secret. And if you were
That's right.
caught, the British, the German, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese would have killed you or cascated you and
That's right.
dehumanized you in public
That's right.
in order to
That's right.
deter you from practicing your own culture and tradition. So often it was practiced in secret. You
Do
had
you
to
know how?
save it
Do you know
places.
how? Do you know how they did it?
Explain, please explain.
In places like Cuba and Brazil, they did it by drumming.
That's right. Yes. That's right. Yes, that's right. But even there,
They
particularly in
used it
Jamaica,
drums to
go ahead.
communicate with you. They used drum, and in Trinidad, they used the what do you call that pan? What do you call it? The
The
pan,
still pan. Yes,
the steel drum. Yeah,
yes. Mhm,
those are these things. People look at them now as musical instruments, and
mhm,
but in fact, people did not realize the origin that
mhm.
these instruments were used as means of communication.
That's right.
Because in
That's right.
Yoruba land, this is one of the things, part of the things that the Yorubas invented, the drum, the
Yes.
talking
y-
drum.
Yes.
We talked to each other using the drum. So when they
Right.
were taken to the Americas,
Mhm,
they didn't lose that ability. They
mhm.
communicated with each other using the drum. And where the British had or the French had discovered that they were using the drum to communicate, they then started using the steel pan.
This is true.
So if you
This is
couldn't,
true.
if they stopped you from using the drum, and they
Mhm.
say this, that, and the other, then you switch to something else.
Yes, that's right. That's
And
right.
although today we look at these things as musical instruments to enjoy,
Mhm.
which is fine, but it is also important for us to know the root
Thank you.
of these things.
Thank you so much.
I mean,
Thank you.
this is one of the things why it is. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. No, this is well, because as I said, the connection is clear, but there are tens of millions of diasporans, your cousins overseas, who have forgotten where it came from. They simply know that this is
That's right.
us. This is who we are. Okay.
That's
And
right.
why the Orishas were so
That's right.
important, I am assuring you, the Orishas were so important. I want to just play this. This is a short excerpt for the Orishas, just for the benefit of the audience.
Yes, that's fine.
We're all
That,
connecting with you now. I'm assuring you, look at the messages I'm receiving. They're connecting with you. They're understanding. They're appreciating you. We appreciated you. I'm going to play this now. If we can get it up on the screen this time, hopefully we'll succeed. There we go. I'm going to play this for you because this will be powerful. Listen to this. There we go. Yoruba spiritual practices. What follows is a brief description of some of the most well-known Orishas, their attributes and their significance. Eledumare, the Eshu, the messenger, is crucial in the Yoruba pantheon, as every ritual or sacrifice must honor him to ensure that communication with other Orishas is clear. He is seen as a playful but wise and protective. Ogun, the god of iron, war, and labour represent the transformative power of labour and industry. He is revered by people who work with metal and is often invoked for strength, protection and success in battle or challenging task. Oduduwa, Shango, the god of thunder, fire and justice, represents power, authority and leadership. He is a symbol of righteous rule and justice. His energy is invoked for protection, strength and leadership, and to call down the divine justice in times of injustice. Yemoja, the mother of all Orishas, goddess of Ogun, is revered for her maternal qualities and is a goddess of abundance and prosperity. She represents creativity, life, protection of families and communities. Oduduwa, Ushu, the goddess of love, beauty and rivers, is the goddess of love and wealth. She is invoked for matters related to love, fertility and financial success. She is considered the most compassionate of the Orishas, offering emotional and spiritual support. Obatala, the Orisha of purity, wisdom and justice, is the Orishas of clarity and truth. He is invoked for guidance in difficult situations and for matters relating to fairness, peace and ethical leadership. Eledumare, Oya, the goddess of storms, wind and transformation. She represents the power of change and transformation. She is invoked during times of great upheaval or when there is need for personal or societal transformation. Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom, knowledge and divination, is considered the custodian of wisdom and is highly revered by the practitioners of Ife divination. She helps guide people towards the right decision and understanding of their destinies. A journey through the great Yoruba kingdom, the Ife kingdom, the spiritual and mythical origins of the Yoruba people.
Okay.
It is the important religious center for the worship of Orishas, the gods and goddesses. The place where life and civilization began, according to
I'm going to pause that now. Sorry, I'm enjoying it too much.
Was the first.
I was going to go on to note the three. In fact, let me just play this section because it's going to be important again, further context for the audience. Because I know the audience respond to steady rhythmic music that settles and calms the mind, so it is ready to receive information. And upon receiving empowering information, thereafter, they are better people. So I'm just going to play this last 30 seconds, which describe key leader structures in the culture. Okay, if I may, just for the benefit of the audience, this will help. It will definitely help. Here we go. And I'm going to play it now. Here we go. If I get it to work, of course. Here we are. Here we go.
Understanding of their destinies. A journey through the great Yoruba kingdom, the Ife kingdom, the spiritual and mythical origins of the Yoruba people. It is the important religious center for the worship of Orishas, the gods and goddesses. The place where life and civilization began, according to Yoruba mythology. Ife was the first and most revered Yoruba kingdom, ruled by the Oni Ife, who is considered the spiritual leader of the Yoruba people. The Oni is seen as a direct descendant of Oduduwa, the legendary founder of the Yoruba civilization. The current Oni of Ife is Oba Adeyeye Itan Ogamosi Ojaja II. The great Yoruba kingdoms. The Oyo Kingdom. A Yoruba empire, it was one of the West Africa's greatest civilizations. Its political systems, military strengths, and cultural impact made it a dominant fought for centuries. Even today, the traditions of Oyo influence Yoruba leadership, governance, and religion. Great Yoruba Kingdom. Ijebu Kingdom. The Ijebu Kingdom is one of the most culturally vibrant in Yoruba history, with its Ojun Aba festival, powerful Awanaje kings, and deep-rooted traditions. The Ijebu people continue to play a major role in Yoruba and Nigerian society.
Okay, let me pause there. I think that's enough for the moment. I would get on this gentleman in a moment. In a moment, I think. By the way, yes, you're saying.
I'm glad. I want to talk about him.
Oh, you do. Let me just play a little bit of him, and then because he's a genius. One of these geniuses. It blew my mind. Anyway. Let me just play it on. Let me play this on because you appreciate him. You all appreciate.
You have no idea until I tell you what I will tell you about him.
Okay. All right.
I will in a minute.
I'll play it now. Let me bring up my screen. There we go.
Standard orthography or modern Yoruba writing systems. Samuel Ajayi Crowther, born 1805, passed 1891, was a Yoruba linguist and the first African Anglican bishop in West Africa. He was born in Osogun, which is now Oyo State in Nigeria. Crowther was a Yoruba speaker and translated the Bible and other works into his native language. He was ahead of his time. These facts alone deserve celebration. His Bible translation was also remarkably effective, and his approach to the study and practice of mission was way ahead of his time. Widely known as a gentle, modest man, Samuel Crowther was responsible for successfully opening up the Yoruba kingdom to the gospel as a missionary bishop for the Church Mission Society. He employed a compelling dialogue approach, using local languages and scriptures. Indeed, he translated the entire Bible into Yoruba, spoken mainly in West Africa, including Crowther's home in what is now Nigeria. Yoruba was, after all, his mother tongue. Yoruba Standard Orthography, or modern Yoruba writing systems. Key features of Yoruba written format or standard orthography. The use of diacritical marks or accent for tone differentiation. Yoruba is a tonal language, meaning the tone of a word changes its meaning. The uses of Latin script with additional letters. Yoruba writing follows a structured system of tones and special letters and contractions to maintain clarity and accuracy. Proper use of tone marks is critical to avoid changing meanings. Great Yoruba kingdoms.
So I'm going to pause there. And
Okay.
Because it's a genius of his time, a remarkable Yoruba man, a genius. Please tell us more about him.
Yes,
tell us more.
Yes, I actually don't think that most people understand the intellectual caliber of Ajayi Crowther. If he had been white, he would have been the Archbishop of West Africa.
Yes.
Remember, he was the vicar at Archway. What's that place called again? Archway, London. There's a church where he was vicar. I've forgotten the name of the church, but if it comes to me, what Ajayi Crowther did was to show that Yoruba language had a distinctive grammar and structure. I know you're talking about we translated this. He had to have started from zero.
Yes.
He had to have created a distinctive grammar for Yoruba language. a distinctive structure for Yoruba language before he could do the translation.
Yes.
Ajayi Crowther was the one who pointed out that the Yoruba people had a system of word construction, that we didn't just blot out words, that the Yorubas had a system that they used to construct words. And I'm going to construct a word as we speak here.
All right.
The base of every word is a verb. That verb is made up of a consonant and a vowel. So, for example, to create, you put a D and an A, a D and a A. So, da, to create.
Okay. Yes.
That's the verb.
Yes. Yes.
If you now put a prefix, if you put a prefix before the verb, you get eda, the created. Let me explain this again in case the audience who are not Yoruba, so they could understand it.
Please,
is that
do it nice and
make
slowly. No, nice and slowly for us.
okay. To make a verb, you add a consonant to a vowel. So in the case of to create, the verb to create is D plus A. Da.
Yes. Yes. And now
if
I
you now
understand
add
that.
a prefix, okay, if you now add a prefix to da, you get eda, the created.
Wow.
Do you understand that?
I do. And what I'm going to do, if I may, I'm going to put it on the screen for them, because we need to do it nice and slowly, because there will be many thousands for whom this is brand new. Okay, and they are going to make inquiries. Let's see if I can get the machine to work as I wish. I'm going to put it on the screen. Let's see if it comes up. It does. Here we go. Here we go. So the use of diacritical marks, which is what you're referring to, for tonal differentiation. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm now talking of before you get to this tonal differentiation. Right at the base, you have a verb, D plus A, which gives you da.
Yes.
You then add a prefix, E, which gives you eda, the created.
Yes.
If you add another prefix to that, you get eleda, E-L-E-D-A, eleda, which is the creator.
Whoa.
Do you see how do you see how the Yorubas create words? So you've got the verb to create, you get the next noun, which is the created, and the next noun, which is the creator. All of them are linked.
Okay.
So we Yorubas don't just pluck. The Yorubas don't just pluck words out of thin air.
Yes.
It is constructed.
In other words,
and this is the genius.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. This is the genius. Go ahead.
This is the genius. This was the genius of Ajayi Crowther, to recognize that the Yoruba did not pluck words out of thin air. That every word, every noun is built. So you've got from da to create, to eda the created, to eleda the creator. And the importance of what Ajayi Crowther did is that the Yoruba word was equivalent to writing. Although the Yorubas did not write, but the way the structure of their words was writing without a pen.
I understand. Yes. And I want to acknowledge, if I may, I want to acknowledge what you say.
So that your audience can have it.
Yes. Sorry, we've got some slight delay in our communication. I'm not sure it's my end or your end. There's a slight delay. I'm really sorry about that to the audience. So if I may, I'm going to acknowledge the important role that Samuel Crowther played in translating the spoken language into a written format and embedding in that written format the sophistication that is the Yoruba language. Okay, and it's a language it is well worth for us all to learn, to study, to learn. Okay, and I'll embark on that journey myself. It's been a great pleasure to investigate it. It's been a great pleasure, and I say to the audience, I'm only scraping the very tip of the enormous iceberg that is the Yoruba culture and traditions.
That's right.
Okay. What I want to
That's
do
right.
now, if I may, I now want to focus on the real purpose of this interview, which is, of course, the status of the Yoruba, I'm going to say kingdom for now. Later on, I'll leave you to cough. I'll leave you to correct me, okay? I'm going to leave you to correct me. But before I go into that part, I just want to play that part of the intro video so it places in some context for the audience what it is we're discussing here. Why on earth was the motivator? Why on earth was the leader of the Yoruba people here in Britain, Dr. Oni Ola Osula, would say that the Yoruba kingdom or nation was recognized by Britain as being independent, a sovereign state. Okay? Watch this, all of you. I need you all to watch what I'm about to play for you. This is really important. Okay? This is a part of the history you will not see in a British school, or indeed most schools in the Caribbean or the Americas. But this is actual history, which only takes a few minutes to research to identify its authenticity. So watch this and watch keenly. Let me bring it up on the screen, make sure it's all set. I'm now going to bring it in, sir. There we go. All righty. And I'm going to maximize my page in a second. But first of all, let me get it moving. There we go.
Great Yoruba kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba kingdom. In the UK, it is a government that negotiates and signs treaties. Once signed, the document must be scrutinised by Parliament to confirm that the UK agrees to be bound by it. The treaty, which was negotiated for the Crown and signed on the Crown's behalf on the 23rd of July 1888, was ratified by the Crown on the 16th of June 1890. The treaty was negotiated and signed in person by the Ile-Ife of Oyo on the 23rd of July 1888, was ratified by him on acceptance of the consideration of £35 5 shillings on the 16th of June 1890. It is now British law. Great Yoruba kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba kingdom. The 1888 treaty recognized the Yoruba kingdom as a nation equal to Britain in status. What follows are direct quotes from the 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba kingdom. Direct quotes. Treaty between Adeyemi, Ile-Ife of Oyo, and head of Yoruba land, and Her Majesty the Queen of Britain and Ireland, July 1888. I, Adeyemi, Ile-Ife of Oyo, and head of the Yoruba land, the four corners of which are, and have been from time immemorial, known as Igba, Ketu, Yiba, and Oyo, embracing within its area that inhabited by all Yoruba-speaking people, being desirous of entering into and maintaining forever friendly relations with the subject of Her Majesty the Queen of Britain and Ireland, and of developing the resources of Yoruba by means of legitimate trade, with the subjects of Her Majesty and those under her protection, or who may thereafter come under her protection, and in gratitude for what the Queen has at so much expense and risk to life done from time to time for my country, have at this day at the city of Oyo, in the presence of witnesses, declared my intention of abiding by the following articles. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. Direct quotation from the treaty. 1. From henceforth there shall be peace and friendship between the subjects of Her Majesty, the Queen, and those under her protection, and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, the King of Yoruba land, and his people, and all other peoples over whom he has authority and influence. 2. The subjects of the Queen may always trade freely with the people of Oyo and the Yoruba-speaking countries in every article they may wish to buy and sell, in all towns, rivers and creeks, water and markets, and places within territories known as Yoruba. And I, Adeyemi, pledge myself to show no favour and to give no privilege to the traders of other countries, which I do not give or show to those of the Queen. 3. British subjects and others under the Queen's protection are to have the first consideration in all trade transaction with my people. 4. No toll, duties, fees, imposts or charges shall be charged or levied upon the person or property of any British subject or other persons under Her Majesty's protection, other than and beyond that of those which are customary and reasonable, or may from time to time be agreed upon to be levied or charged by the Governor of Lagos and myself. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. The 1888 treaty recognized the Yoruba Kingdom as a nation equal to Britain in status. Direct quotation from the treaty. 7. It is hereby further agreed that no cession of territory and no other treaty or agreement shall be made by me other than the one I have now made without the full understanding and the consent of the Governor for the time being of the said colony of Lagos. In consideration of the faithful observance of the foregoing articles of the agreement, the Government of Lagos will make unto me a yearly dash to the value of 200 bags of cowries. But such dash may, upon breach or neglect of all or any one or more of the provisions of the agreement, and at the discretion of the Governor of the Colony of Lagos, be altogether withdrawn or suspended. This treaty is signed and sealed by Oyo this 23rd day of July, 1888.
So, there you have it, people. There you have it. And this is therefore British law. Britain has agreed to be bound by it. The monarch has received royal assent. The monarch has signed it. It's been scrutinized by Parliament. It is there detailed in the treaty and signed, sealed, and indeed delivered.
Okay.
Yoruba land is a sovereign state. Go ahead, my chief.
That's right. Let me just gloat a bit before I start telling you the importance.
Please gloat.
And the gloating is this:
yes,
that the Alaafin of Oyo, who was not versed in international law, was able to sign a treaty with the British
Yes.
of such fundamental importance that no similar treaty was signed in Africa by anybody.
Indeed, 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 indeed.
The only similar treaty that the British signed was with Tonga in 1900, almost word for word as the Oyo Treaty. And yet, the treatment that Tonga had is totally different from the treatment that we had. So that's number one. There are two other things that I think I need to point out before I go on to tell you the importance. Article 4 is very important because it is the dispute resolution provision.
Yep.
What Article 4 says is that if there is a problem with this treaty, it will be sent to arbitration.
Yes.
So that neither party will say I've been cheated or this, that, and because of that provision. The other provision that I would like to draw your attention to before I continue is Article 8, which says, in consideration of the faithful observance of the foregoing articles of agreement, that the Ile-Ife will be paid.
Yes.
That is a contract.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
In law, that is a contract. And I tell you why it's a contract. The British asked for this treaty. The Yorubas didn't go to the British to say, I want to sign a treaty. No. On the 22nd or 23rd of May, 1888, the British wrote to the Ile-Ife asking for this treaty.
Yes.
That in contract law is called an offer.
Yes.
The Ile-Ife then accepted that offer in the body of the contract that you just read.
Thank you.
So, even apart from looking at the treaty as an international instrument, it is also a contract under British law.
Yes. It is. It is. It is. It is.
Okay. So now that I've cleared those two, because I think those two things are important. Article 4, which is dispute resolution, and Article 8, which is about contract.
Right.
There's also something that is missing from this treaty. What is missing is that there is no exit clause.
Oh.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do indeed. Yes, yes.
There's
It's signed, sealed, it's forever. Yes.
means by which either party could escape from this treaty.
This is true.
There's no exit clause.
Yes.
You couldn't say, I'm leaving this treaty. This treaty is forever.
Wow.
You cannot escape it.
Yeah.
There's no escape clause. So when I told you at the beginning that the Ile-Ife was a very clever man, you know, people
another
probably,
genius. Another genius.
People will probably think, oh, well, you know, you're just making it up. That is a wise man.
Yes. Yes.
That goes into a treaty and says, this treaty is for forever. So these are the importance of this. This treaty was so important to Britain that it was published in London.
Yes, it was.
You know the book of treaties where you say we had a treaty with Japan, we have a treaty with China. This treaty is recorded.
Yes, it is.
And it is recorded as a non-session treaty.
Yes, that's right.
That is, the Yoruba land did not, the Ile-Ife did not give up an inch of Yoruba soil.
Okay. Now, do
you understand that?
I do. Forgive me, your Wi-Fi is kind of unstable at the moment. I'm really sorry. I'm not sure why. So we lose you for a moment.
Oh, dear.
Come back again. Yeah, it's
My
all right.
apologies.
It's okay. It did well. Don't worry. It did well. But keep going, because you are engaging audience.
So when you know, trying to describe how this treaty is very, very important. It was important to the British because they didn't want the French
That's
to
right.
incur into Yoruba land.
That's right. That's right. They're in
So
competition.
they
That's
had
right.
to sign this treaty.
Yes. Yes. And it's
Had to
important,
sign
if I
it.
may, just to point out that Nigeria at the time, it wasn't Nigeria, but at the time, was surrounded by land or territories colonized by France. Okay, you have to the
That's
north, of course, Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad. These are all French territory. Gabon, they're all French colonies. Yeah, so we're
Yeah, but in
surrounded
fact,
by.
in fact, I mean, they had a little bit of incursion into what is now Sokoto.
Yes.
So it wasn't so the British were desperate
Yes.
to sign this treaty.
Yes. Right.
And in signing the treaty, the British accepted Yoruba nation,
Yes.
Yoruba land, as an equal.
Yes. Yes. I emphasize
I think
that in the intro video. I emphasize that
yes,
there were
yes,
equal status. Equal
yes.
status. Go ahead.
And not just between themselves,
No.
under international law.
Correct. It is
Okay,
enforceable
so this is
under
not just
international law.
something that is just between the two of us, whatever we like. No.
Mhm.
This was under international law.
Yes. Yes.
And the other concept that I want your listeners, your audience to take is the concept of the critical date. When an event occurs on a particular date, that date of occurrence cannot change. I mean, it's like your birthday. You are born on a certain day, it can't change. Because so a critical date is a date when the treaty was signed, which is this ratified, which is the 16th of June 1890. That's the critical date. That date cannot change.
Agreed. Yes.
Anything that occurred after that date cannot affect what was agreed on in the treaty. Do you understand that? Whatever
Absolutely.
development that has happened
Yes.
after that treaty cannot affect the treaty whatsoever. And I'm going to read to you what the British pleaded. What the British pleaded when they had a dispute with France on something called Minquers and Ecos, Ecros. I think some island, a piece of island between France and Britain. This is what the British said. Said the subsequent practice of parties to a treaty in relation to it cannot affect the meaning of the treaty. Did you get that?
Yes. I want you to explain what that
The
means for the
subsequent practice
audience.
of parties to
Explain for the audience, nice and slowly for the audience. So they
let me continue reading and then I'll
Okay.
explain it.
All right.
Events occurring after the critical date cannot operate to alter the position as it stood at that date. That means the status of Yoruba land as a state under international law solidified on the 16th of June 1890. That is irreversible.
Yes. Yes.
You cannot change. There is nothing that you can do that can change that recognition of Yoruba land as a country. It cannot be changed. It is irreversible. So anything that Britain did after 1888, after 1890, is completely irrelevant to the status of Yoruba land as a country. We are not in a court of law here, so I don't have to go into the case law. But there is plenty of case law. And the final thing I want to say, and I will repeat this again, the 1888 Britain-Yoruba Treaty is operational.
Yes,
as you and I sit here
today. It's effective today. Yes, yes.
There's no expiry date.
Yes.
So as you and I sit here and we are chatting as friends, the 1888 treaty is operational as we speak.
Yes.
It is a case that you can take to court with confidence. It's a case that you can take to court with utter confidence to say, look, this is a treaty that Britain and Yoruba land signed in 1888. This is a treaty that they ratified in 1890. This is a treaty which they then paid consideration, that the British government paid consideration for.
All right. Now then, sir, if I can just...
And therefore, in the eyes of international law...
Yes.
Go on.
Okay, that's all right. There's a slight delay. I'm going to ask you, please, if you could kind of stay still, because you become excited, you see. And as you get excited, the signal wavers. But I understand why.
Sorry.
Trust me, I understand why. Because I'm good for the benefit of the audience, and those of you who are watching this, please do not leave this video without leaving a comment. But I will also, in the edited version of this transmission, insert a link to the treaty itself. The treaty that I've read out partially, I'll give you a link directly to the treaty that was ratified by Parliament, signed on behalf of the monarch. Okay, it was signed and countersigned by the Oyo and the leader of the Yoruba nation. I'm going to use the term now, Yoruba nation at the time. There was no exit clause here. Note what has been stated. There was no exit clause, and therefore it is effective as of today. It's simply required for the Yoruba people to decide that they want to be independent, and they have the force of international law to support that assertion. Praise be.
Exactly. And let me tell you something else.
Of course.
The Shelburne, the report of Lord Shelburne, the Niger Committee, that was set up to sort of conceptualize amalgamation, excluded the Yoruba country. It stated very clearly that the Yoruba country was not under the jurisdiction of Britain.
Oh, right. That's, I must say, that's a detail I didn't pick up on, but I will go look at it. And I know you're correct. I'm going to affirm what you've just said, and I'm going to ensure that's also included in the comments section that relate to the edited version of this transmission. Okay, thank you for Shelburne. Thank you for that.
Very much. Thank you very much.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So, what you've been able to demonstrate that, in fact, the Yoruba people are indeed a sovereign nation. But I know it's now a historical fact that the Yoruba nation is within a nation that we call Nigeria. That is a bit of a quandary now, isn't it? Explain. Now I'm going to ask
again,
you to keep
under
still,
international law, it doesn't really matter. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Under international law, it is also the case that Nigeria amalgamation and all that is irrelevant. I mean, we can come to that later on. But there's one thing that I need to make your audience understand.
All right.
And it is this. The Constitution, the Independence Constitution of Nigeria was written by the British. It was a British Act of Parliament. The Constitution was not written by Nigerians. So that's number one thing to understand. The second thing to understand is that the first time that the Nigerians actually wrote a constitution was in 1963. The Republican Constitution, which was contributed to by 4 regions: the West, the Midwest, the East, and the North. constitution, that agreement between it was an act of parliament, so there's no question that there was an agreement. Let us accept that although they didn't use the word Yoruba, Igbo, let us just accept that the western region was Yoruba. Let's just accept that.
Yes.
So there was this, if you like, agreement in 1963, the Republican agreement in 1963. That agreement became null and void on the 15th of January 1966, when there was a coup.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That was it. That was the end of the 1963 Constitution. And since 1966, we have not had another agreement between any group of Nigerians to be Nigerians.
If I may ask you this point.
Let me repeat that again.
I've heard you, but before you do that, the 1999 Constitution, which clearly is being disputed by members of Ninas and other Igbo people as being invalid, that was created by the then military rulers. Are you asserting that that Constitution is also invalid?
Oh, yes. When I was the leader of Ilana UK, we went to court on this. So what I'm telling you is not something that I've just suddenly realized.
Uh-huh.
The 1999 Constitution is not a constitution. It was a military decree by General Abdul Salami. It was a military decree that they then converted to constitution. And the reason why they got away with it was because Obasanjo was the first president.
Yes.
Remember, I was military head of state before.
That's right. Yes.
And all that he was doing was just simply continue the military regime. The 1999 Constitution has never been ratified by the people of Nigeria.
It is true.
When Obasanjo took over, when Obasanjo was elected president of Nigeria, there was no constitution. Remember, he was elected in February. The constitution was published in May.
That's right.
So Obasanjo had already become president of Nigeria before the constitution was handed to him.
This is so true. I've had a regular guest here. Mm-hmm. Sorry,
it can only happen in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say this point. I've had members of the Igbo community here on the motivation show. Sorry, can you?
Well, I mean, yes, but I mean, this is actually not Igbo or Yoruba or anything. This is just a matter of law.
Agreed.
It's a matter of law. You cannot have
if I may take you forward, and we've got that, and I'm going to put further references in the comment section for the edited version of this transmission. So those who are so inclined to do their own due diligence to validate the veracity of the statements being made today can do so, then I'll encourage them to reach out to you thereafter. Okay. What I want to do, though, is note the traditional leaders. Notwithstanding your comment in regards the 1960 Constitution of approved by British Parliament, written by Britain, admittedly, but the Ile-Ife at the time signed that Constitution to bring into force the state of Nigeria, giving it veracity, giving it weight. Was the Ile-Ife wrong in doing so?
Okay. What was the status? Again, you've got to go back a bit. What was the status of the Yoruba Oba after 1914? They became like civil servants. That's what they are today as well. They were no longer, if you want to call them rulers before, they were no longer rulers. They weren't ruling anything. They were powerless. They were paid a salary by government, as they are today. So, to be surprised that he signed almost anything, why should you be surprised?
Okay.
They no longer
did. Yes.
Yeah, but they no longer had the power that the Ile-Ife had in 1888. Oh, by the way, the Ile-Ife of the British assassinated the Ile-Ife in 1895. I just thought I'd throw that in.
Yep, that is true. That's another historical fact.
But the fact of the matter is that since the 1st of January 1914, our constitution had been suspended. The Yoruba constitution was suspended in 1914, and it still remains suspended today. So when any turns up to pretend that he has some power, it's nonsense, because he's paid like a civil servant.
Okay,
he's a servant of the government.
We've heard
the fact that he has signed the Ile-Ife signed.
Okay,
yeah.
we've got that message.
Thank you.
I know that the Elephant's office and others will be listening to this. We want to be polite. But it's okay. It's okay. What I want to do, because I just want a conscious of time, and just so that we get through the key questions I want to put to you. So we've got the context, both the Yoruba people. We've got examples of the genius of the people. And now we're addressing the issue of the status of the Yoruba land, okay? And it's clear that the Yoruba land under international law is an independent state, okay? Currently we're in another state, which now need to be resolved, okay? Now, I understand that this is what you want to do. You've established what is called here in Britain the Yoruba Party in Britain. Okay, now you establish a party, a political party, which is interesting. Okay, but I understand you've created that party with the agreement of Yoruba people here in Britain with a clear intent. Can I ask you to explain the intent behind forming the Yoruba Party of Great Britain? Please go ahead.
Okay. The primary purpose is to provide a voice for the UK Yoruba community. Okay. We don't have a voice. Nobody knows who we are.
Indeed.
Nobody knows that we exist. And therefore, in order to take all these things that we have been discussing forwards, you needed a body that can give voice to the Yoruba people.
Okay, understood.
That was the purpose of establishing the Yoruba Party in the UK. I think, I can't remember, it's been tagged. I think you may have been the one who tagged it as some kind of social, a social party rather than a political party.
Oh yeah.
But in fact,
description. Yes, go ahead.
but that is not, to me, that is actually not an insult. I didn't take it as an insult, because that is what distinguishes us from the Labour Party, from the Conservative Party.
That's right.
From any other party, in the sense that we're saying we have a group of Yoruba in this diaspora who are voiceless, who are faceless. Yes. We want whatever it is they want to be in the forefront, so that others can see what not just our achievement. For example, the leader of the Conservative Party is Yoruba.
Yes. And the current leader of Nigeria is Yoruba as well. Bola
exactly.
is also Yoruba.
Exactly. So this is not just talking about our achievement. That's great. But we are talking of our people, silent majority.
Yes.
And the idea of the political party is to give them a voice.
Okay.
And
I accept that.
And it also gives them legal standing.
Yes.
I think this is very important. Legal standing to go to court.
Yes, if I may, at this point, this is true, because of course we now have ample evidence that the treaty, 1888 treaty, has no exit clause, and therefore is in effect right now.
Exactly.
Now, you've established a political party. I understand it, and I understand the reason. We've explained the reason why. Will you now go forward with a judicial review. So that the British government acknowledges the 1888 treaty that was signed, sealed, and delivered both by Her Majesty the Queen then, Victoria, and the Ile-Ife of Oyo at the time, that they both signed on behalf of their respective nations. Will you now go forward with a judicial review to ensure it is recognised by today's British government?
The short answer is yes.
Okay, brilliant.
And right now, what we are hoping, coming to your podcast, me writing on Facebook and on Twitter, going from platform to platform, is that we want people to contact us to enable us to establish a panel of lawyers. Number one, that can help us to articulate what we are talking about, and also a panel of donors, because this is expensive.
Yes.
This is very expensive. And remember, the Yoruba party is not even 1 year old. So we don't have the money to take to judicial review. That's why we are publicizing things as much as we can, so that we are able to establish a panel of lawyers. One of the things, for example, that I have done is I've asked the Cardiff Law School, where I'm an alumnus, to actually do research on these things for us.
Okay, good.
And I've offered them personally research grant, that if you are able to, if you can get people to investigate this for us, I will stand to pay all their expenses.
Oh wow. Okay. Let me put it on the screen in that case. Your contact
details. This is important.
Okay, good. Keep going.
The importance of this is very much when the Kenyans took the British government to court.
Yes.
They were able to win because there were 3 academics, 3 professors who investigated their case. So that by the time the case came to court, the court knew exactly what the facts are, even though this thing had happened years and years ago. So this is the sort of thing we are trying to do. We are looking for lawyers. If you are interested in administrative law, get in touch so that we can assemble a panel of lawyers. I have done the research. I've written a sort of thing that they can read and then further investigate themselves. And the panel can then come together and give their assessment and their feasibility. We also need a panel of donors, people that we can turn to at any time to say, look, we want to go to court tomorrow. Can you give us £50,000? Or can you give us 100,000 pounds or whatever?
Yes.
So those are the 2 things that we are trying to establish: a panel of lawyers and a panel of donors. We think that we have a case. We think we have a case, and that we can be successful with judicial review. But this is expensive. There is an alternative also, which again the panel of lawyers can tell us, is the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague.
Yes.
We can go to them as well. I've already written to them to ask for what can we do to access their services.
Yes. Right. Good. I'm very pleased to hear that. I've placed on the screen.
So that's it. So apart from judicial review, that's correct. And I hope that people will contact us. And I know people might say, well, it's a small party. They've only just started.
If I may. This is it's not a question of the size of the party. The rationale for establishing is sound. Okay, you want a voice, and you must want to ensure that you have standing to enforce the law. The law on the screen. Those of you who are interested and want to reach out and speak directly to the good doctor here, and he's spoken with eloquence and determination on behalf of his people. And to be clear, the 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Uyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba kingdom, the 1888 treaty recognized the Yoruba kingdom, or indeed the Yoruba nation, as a nation equal to Britain in status. Now, to join the campaign to enforce the 1888 treaty, contact the Yoruba Party UK. Email address, it's info@yorubapartyuk.org. And their website address, it's www.yorubapartyuk.org. Okay, I'll leave it on the screen for a little while longer for those of you who are slow writers to write it down. I will note these details on YouTube in the comment section. Please do not leave YouTube unless you leave a comment or a reaction. It's very important, okay? So we can spread the word. There you are. That's important. So we've now, I'm not going to say we've started here, but it most probably started prior, but we will contribute to raising that wave, that in your direction. Okay. But I believe that the evidence is pretty robust. I'm not a legal person, but I believe it's pretty robust. I spent a good 3 or 4 days in terms of hours studying this prior to this interview, okay, to ensure that I do not embarrass myself. You see, I have a reputation to maintain, that if I utter words, it's because I've resolved and I'm convinced that these words are correct. And there's evidential basis upon which to make these statements. And I can assert to you, and I've reviewed all particulars in relation to the 1888 treaty between the Yoruba kingdom, Yoruba nation, and Great Britain. And I've found that the treaty is valid. There is no exit clause, okay? It is valid and it therefore effective as of today. And as a good doctor described, what happens subsequently means nothing because the treaty remains in force. It's now up to the Yoruba people to claim their rights for independence. Praise God, Rastafari. Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I now can stand by that statement because I've been able to validate and speak to others to ensure that the treaty, as noted, is valid. It's gone through all the correct processes to ensure it's now enforceable in British law.
Thank you.
Quite astonishing. Yep, quite astonishing. It is quite astonishing. I'm immensely proud of you. And what I need to do here is note that in my interview video, I only give a scrape in the very surface of the incredible people who are the Yoruba people, their culture, tradition. There's much more for us all to learn. So I want to encourage those who are, he did say it, a Yoruba nationalist, but I want a Yoruba culturalist who understands the culture, who can speak about the culture with an emotion and a desire that really ensure that others match you with that enthusiasm. I have to say, each time I review the people that it's a Yoruba people, I'm enthralled and I'm astonished the connection that I have with you, just by my own culture and tradition. It was astonishing, as you say. You described it. You've been to the Caribbean, you know, and you see a reflection of yourself. You can see the practices, but they don't know where it came from, because it's hundreds of years now. It's for those traditional leaders to bridge the gap. The information gap. I believe that's where the problem lies. The traditional leaders in Africa, but most certainly across West Africa, need to come to diaspora, okay, and teach us, remind us of who we are and the greatness of our history, of our cultures and tradition. Praise be, praise be. Oh my gosh, that was something else. My heart is beating, and again, another interview where my heart is beating with an intensity. I'm now seeking to control myself. This is powerful, truly powerful. What would be your
Thank you.
message to the people of the diaspora who unknowingly, in many cases, are practicing Yoruba culture and tradition? What would you say to them?
Thank you. One of my hopes,
Hmm.
and I'm getting on in age now, one of my hopes is that we will have a Yoruba land to which our blood brothers and sisters can come to anytime they want because it is their home.
Yes. Oh, please, can I just give you a clap to that? I need to give you a loud clap. I need to clap this. We need more of this. That's what we need. We need more of this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please continue. Continue. Continue.
We are only, there are people who think that the way to establish our home is by violence. I don't believe in it. I'm a pacifist. And I'm a pacifist because when I was 19, I went with the Red Cross to Biafra to feed refugees.
Okay. Yes.
And the destruction that I saw made me realize that war is futile.
Yes.
That war is just destructive. So I'm a pacifist. And I've been a pacifist since I was 19, 20. And I owe no apologies for that. The second thing that I've realized with time, especially when I became the leader of Ilana UK a couple of years or so ago, is that there is no mechanism for negotiating. There's no political avenue available to us. What is available to us is the law courts. Because once the law has decided that this treaty exists and is live,
Yes.
then the British government is obliged.
Yes.
The British government is obliged to follow it. So in my humble submission, this is the avenue we need to pursue.
Yes.
And we need to pursue it quickly.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I believe that once we extricate Yoruba land from Nigeria, we will be able to establish the black race as not subservient to all these other people.
Indeed. Indeed. Indeed.
And that to me, and there are so many, I mean, just to throw in an example, the development of the vaccine that you hear about today came from Yoruba land.
Oh, explain. Explain.
Onesimus, who was a slave, was the one who told
Yes. Yes.
the Americans.
Yes. Yes. Oh, your connection.
That
We've lost you.
you can prevent smallpox.
Forgive me, doctor. We lost you for a moment. We lost you for a moment. You just.
Oh, have you got me back again?
Yes, we're back again now.
Okay.
You said his name, and then we lost you for a moment.
Yeah.
Please just repeat what you were saying.
Onesimus. His name is Onesimus.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one who, in fact, I think they call him one of the Bostonians of all times. He's a Bostonian of all times. His name is Onesimus. Mm-hmm. He was the one who introduced TB vaccination, smallpox vaccination, really.
Yes.
America, where vaccination then, of course, took off. And, although today everybody thinks that Jenner invented smallpox vaccine, we've been practicing vaccination for smallpox from time immemorial.
Say that again, my doctor. No, doctor, say that again, because it's so important. Because those who've been with anglicized mind, who've received the propaganda that has been propagated for generations. Now say it again. What has our ancestors been doing? Say again, please.
We invented smallpox vaccination.
There you go.
And this is from time immemorial. We knew, the Yorubas knew, that the way to prevent smallpox is to inoculate with the pus of somebody who had smallpox.
Yes, yes, yes.
So this has been that's why Shakwana, that is smallpox, is one of the orishas.
Mm-hmm.
Shakwana.
Powerful. Yes, powerful, powerful. Your signal's
So
still coming in and out. So,
oh, sorry, I don't know why he's doing that.
Don't worry, don't worry. It's these interesting issues here. It is well. It is well.
I don't know why.
What you are highlighting,
but there are a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes. There are a lot of things, but I think our first job is to really enforce this treaty.
Yes.
I think that is our first job.
Okay.
I think our ancestors would be proud of us to do this for them.
Agreed.
Because they did it for us.
Yes, yes. I think you're right. I think you're right. And I'll just put up again, for the benefit of the audience, contact details for yourself and the Yoruba Party is established so that they have standing. They will go for judicial review, but in order to do so, they need the resources, both financial and technical support to do so. It is British law they want enforced to recognise Yoruba land as a nation equal to Britain, as is the outcome of the 1888 treaty between Yoruba land and Britain. Okay, there you are. Okay, it is clear. Details are on the screen. The email address is info@yorubapartyuk.org. Website address is www.yorubapartyuk.org. There you are. I have to say,
thank you.
You have been a tremendous interviewee. You provided information which I know has inspired so many here, and I know there are many who want to question. But the robustness of the evidence, as I said, I'll put it in the the comments for those of you on YouTube. We're there, so you can scrutinize it as I have. I've had more than enough time to scrutinize it, and I do not make statements lightly. Right. My reputation is worth a great deal, and therefore I'm careful with statements that I make in public. But this one I can make with absolute confidence because it's been approved, scrutinized by Parliament. It's in the Register of Treaties. It is law between Great Britain and the Yoruba nation. Okay. I want to say this to you. I just want to say this to you. I want to recognize you. I'm going to give you a big roaring applause because this is going to be very important. I want to recognize you. I want to recognize you for all the work that you engaged in. I want to recognize and acknowledge you. There you are. You see all the lights coming up now. You see more than lights. You see more than fireworks. The balloons are going to come up. There you are, more balloons. My thumbs are up, recognizing you. I want even more applauding. I want to recognize you. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And long may you continue your great work.
Thank you.
And please, we want you to remain healthy, okay? Because we want to keep talking to you. May get you back, and you and other Yoruba people back here. We want to discuss the Yoruba culture and tradition, and also how we progress this campaign to have Yoruba land recognized as it is in British law already, an independent nation under international law. Praise be.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've held you here for long enough. I want you to rest. Get plenty of rest, okay? I want you to rest because we have work to do.
Thank you.
Praise be to you.
Yes.
Praise be. Give my regards to your
very
wife
much
and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And same to you. Thank you, my friend.
My pleasure. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Whew. Wasn't that something, huh? Wasn't that something? Truly inspirational. If you were in any doubt, I will place all the evidence in the commentary so you can review and validate for yourself. We want you to do so because I could possibly miss a detail. I don't believe I have. I've had more than enough time to go over it again and again and again and again. But it is true. The treaty doesn't have an exit clause. It is enforceable right now. It is operating right now. The Yoruba kingdom is not a kingdom. It is a Yoruba nation, a country under international law. Wow. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? So if in doubt, I say to people, always ask questions. As I said, I'm not inclined to make outlandish statements which have no basis in law, because of course my reputation is worth something here, huh? But nevertheless, this has truly been a interesting intellectual experience. I've seen the comments in the comments area. Please, don't just move away from this. This is you enforcing your rights, yeah? Enforcing your rights. And together, we can together make the difference. If in doubt, ask questions. But I think we've seen enough for one day. And I believe you, the people, must decide the future for your children. Yeah? We don't do this for ourselves. We do this for our children. It is our legacy to our children. I say that carefully and slowly. We do this for our children. This podcast is not for me or those in my age group. It's for our children. Mm-hmm. We bequeath this information to you. We bequeath this knowledge to you. It's for our children, okay? Be no doubt, what we must do as adults is ensure the world is a better place for our children. Be in no doubt. I say all that very slowly, deliberately, because I want to make sure there is no misunderstanding, okay? There's no misunderstanding. Because to misunderstand this would be, well, that in itself is a tragedy, okay? But what I want to do before leaving is give a few announcements which will just really round off this show. Many of you recall that I had Dr. Carlton Brown in the studio, that entrepreneur par excellence, okay? And of course, he held a series of important business development seminars called the UK Black Enterprise Conference and Business Masterclass, okay? There is a series of masterclasses being held for 2025, okay? And what I'm going to do, if I can get it up on my screen, I suppose it'd be nice, wouldn't it? Is really give a promotion, a big shout out to Dr. Carlton Brown and the work that he is doing to support businesses, particularly in the African heritage communities, okay? Our entrepreneurship simply needs our collective effort to support the development of entrepreneurs, okay? So what I'm going to do is put on the screen details of the next masterclass, and Dr. Brown's agreed that I can do this, so I'll give promotion to it. By that promotion, I receive no financial benefit. I'm doing this because it is necessary. And there you are on the screen. So the UK Black Business Entrepreneurs Conference Business Masterclass for 2025. The next one will be on Tuesday, the 11th of February, okay? And it will be in the 250 Bishopsgate in London, which is the NatWest Conference Centre, okay? Now, as I said, on Tuesday, the 11th of February. If you go to, get it right, if you go to Eventbrite, forgive me, if you go to Eventbrite, you can purchase your tickets, okay? It's £53.80, okay? You can get the tickets. I'm assuring you, for the wealth of information, the business leaders who will be present, oh, that's an incredibly small price. Incredibly small price. Go to Eventbrite and put in the UK Black Business Entrepreneurs Conference Business Masterclass 2025, and that will take you to the correct area of Eventbrite, and you will be able to acquire your ticket. I commend this event to you is an event that is worth supporting. It's an event that you will benefit from. You will definitely benefit from. There you are. I say again, I'm not inclined to make statements to which I have not validated and I'm assured is correct. Okay. I commend Dr. Carlton Brown and his colleagues who work closely with him to support the evolution, the growth of the business community, within particularly the African heritage community. From the Caribbean or from the continent, or indeed here, we want to encourage the growth of our business community. Well done, Dr. Carlton Brown. Well done, well done. I think now that we've had that flavor, that inspiration provided to us by the leader of Britain's Yoruba community, I think you would agree we continue to honor the reasons why these podcasts are being prepared for you. Spread the word. If you haven't subscribed, it's free to subscribe. Please subscribe. It simply helps us to spread the word. The YouTube machine will know that this is a popular show and it will spread the word. There you are, okay? Or give us a thumbs up, but don't forget to leave a message. Don't go away without leaving a message. Just tell us what you thought of the content, okay? If you dispute the content, please tell us why you dispute it. It's fine. It is well. It is healthy to dispute it. It's fine. But what's important, once validated, once the veracity is resolved, that we get behind it because it's for our children, indeed, for their children's sake. Okay? I just want to communicate that to you. So, I think today's program has fulfilled the mission. Yeah? Because this is the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. And to the next strong, I remain the motivator. The great Yoruba people. Join me on an incredible journey as we delve into the rich and vibrant culture of the great Yoruba people. From their ancient traditions and customs to their stunning art and architecture, we'll explore it all. Discover the fascinating history, myths and legends that have shaped this incredible civilization. Get ready to be amazed by the beauty, diversity and resilience of the Yoruba people. Eledumare, the supreme, omnipotent and benevolent God in Yoruba religious tradition. He is the ultimate source of power and creativity. He is associated with the concept of destiny and often depicted as compassionate and protective. Eledumare ordered Obatala to create the earth. However, he indulged in palm wine and got drunk on his way. A contemporary Orisha to the former, Oduduwa, took the items of creation from him, descended from the abode of the Orishas on a chain and cast a handful of earth on the primordial ocean. Eledumare, the earth rose became a mold called Okewa, and then put a 5-toed cockerel on its primordial mold so it would scatter the earth around, thus creating the land on which Ile-Ife, the first city, would be built. Oduduwa planted a palm knot in the hole in the newly formed land, and from there sprang a great tree with 16 branches, a symbolic representation of the 16 clans of the early pre-urban confederation. Eledumare, Oduduwa, created the world. He also became the ancestor of the first divine king of the Yoruba, while Obatala is believed to have created the first Yoruba people out of clay. The meaning of the word Ife in Yoruba is expansion. Ile-Ife is therefore a reference to the myth of origin as the land of expansion,
The word Ele is pronounced in the modern Yoruba language means house or home, which would make the name of the city means the home of expansion. Eledumare. The Orishas are divine beings in Yoruba religion, each associated with specific elements of nature, human qualities and various aspects of life. These deities are central to the Yoruba pantheons and play an essential role in Yoruba spiritual practices. What follows is a brief description of some of the most well-known Orishas, their attributes and their significance. Eledumare, Eshu the messenger, is crucial in the Yoruba pantheon, as every ritual or sacrifice must honor him to ensure that communication with other Orishas is clear. He is seen as a playful but wise and protective. Ogun, the god of iron, war and labor, represents the transformative power of labor and industry. He is revered by people who work with metal and is often invoked for strength, protection, and success in battle or challenging task. Eledumare. Shango, the god of thunder, fire, and justice, represents power, authority, and leadership. He is a symbol of righteous rule and justice. His energy is invoked for protection, strength, and leadership, and to call down the divine justice in times of injustice. Yemoja, the mother of all Orishas, goddess of Ogun, is revered for her maternal qualities and is a goddess of abundance and prosperity. She represents creativity, life, protection of families and communities. Oduduwa, Osho, the goddess of love, beauty and rivers, is the goddess of love and wealth. She is invoked for matters related to love, fertility and financial success. She considered the most compassionate of the Orishas, offering emotional and spiritual support. Obatala, the Orisha of purity, wisdom and justice, is the Orishas of clarity and truth. He is invoked for guidance in difficult situations and for matters relating to fairness, peace and ethical leadership. Olodumare, Oya, the goddess of storms, wind and transformation. She represents the power of change and transformation. She is invoked during times of great upheaval or when there is a need for personal or societal transformation. Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom, knowledge and divination, is considered the custodian of wisdom and is highly revered by the practitioners of Ife divination. She helps guide people towards the right decision and understanding of their destinies. A journey through the great Yoruba kingdom, the Ife kingdom. The spiritual and mythical origins of the Yoruba people. It is the important religious center for the worship of Orishas, the gods and goddesses. The place where life and civilization began according to Yoruba mythology. Ife was the first and most revered Yoruba kingdom, ruled by the Oni Ife, who is considered the spiritual leader of the Yoruba people. The Oni is seen as a direct descendant of Oduduwa, the legendary founder of the Yoruba civilization. The current Oni of Ife is Oba Adeyeye Etan Ogamosi Oja II. The great Yoruba kingdoms. The Oyo Kingdom. A Yoruba empire, it was one of the West Africa's greatest civilizations. Its political systems, military strengths, and cultural impact made it a dominant force for centuries. Even today, the traditions of Oyo influence Yoruba leadership, governance, and religion. Great Yoruba Kingdom. Ijebu Kingdom. The Ijebu Kingdom is one of the most culturally vibrant in Yoruba history, with its Ojun Aba festival, powerful Awanaje kings, and deep-rooted traditions. The Ijebu people continue to play a major role in Yoruba and Nigerian society. Yoruba Standard Orthography, or modern Yoruba writing systems. Samuel Ajayi Crowther, born 1805, passed 1891, was a Yoruba linguist and the first African Anglican bishop in West Africa. He was born in Osogun, which is now Oyo State in Nigeria. Crowther was a Yoruba speaker and translated the Bible and other works into his native language. He was ahead of his time. These facts alone deserve celebration. His Bible translation was also remarkably effective, and his approach to the study and practice of mission was way ahead of his time. Widely known as a gentle, modest man, Samuel Crowther was responsible for successfully opening up the Yoruba kingdom to the gospel as a missionary bishop for the Church Mission Society. He employed a compelling dialogue approach, using local languages and scriptures. Indeed, he translated the entire Bible into Yoruba, spoken mainly in West Africa, including Crowther's home in what is now Nigeria. Yoruba was, after all, his mother tongue. Yoruba Standard Orthography, or modern Yoruba writing systems. Key features of Yoruba written format, or standard orthography. The use of diacritical marks or accent for tone differentiation. Yoruba is a tonal language, meaning the tone of a word changes its meaning. The uses of Latin script with additional letters. Yoruba writing follows a structured system of toned and special letters and contractions to maintain clarity and accuracy. Proper use of tone marks is critical to avoid changing meanings. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. In the UK, it is the government that negotiates and signs treaties. Once signed, the document must be scrutinised by Parliament to confirm that the UK agrees to be bound by it. The treaty, which was negotiated for the Crown and signed on the Crown's behalf on the 23rd of July 1888, was ratified by the Crown on the 16th of June 1890. The treaty was negotiated and signed in person by the Ile-Ife of Oyo on the 23rd of July 1888, was ratified by him on acceptance of the consideration of £35 5 shillings on the 16th of June 1890. It is now British law. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. The 1888 treaty recognized the Yoruba Kingdom as a nation equal to Britain in status. What follows are direct quotes from the 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. Direct quotes. Treaty between Adeyemi, Ile-Ife of Oyo, and head of Yoruba land, and Her Majesty the Queen of Britain and Ireland, July 1888. I, Adeyemi, Ile-Ife of Oyo, and head of the Yoruba land, the four corners of which are, and have been from time immemorial, known as Igba, Ketu, Yiba, and Oyo, embracing within its area that inhabited by all Yoruba-speaking people, being desirous of entering into and maintaining forever friendly relations with the subject of Her Majesty the Queen of Britain and Ireland, and of developing the resources of Yoruba by means of legitimate trade with the subjects of Her Majesty and those under her protection, or who may thereafter come under her protection, and in gratitude for what the Queen has at so much expense and risk to life done from time to time for my country, have at this day at the city of Oyo, in the presence of witnesses, declared my intention of abiding by the following articles. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. Direct quotation from the treaty. 1. From henceforth there shall be peace and friendship between the subjects of Her Majesty, the Queen, and those under her protection, and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, the King of Yoruba land, and his people, and all other peoples over whom he has authority and influence. 2. The subjects of the Queen may always trade freely with the people of Oyo and the Yoruba-speaking countries in every article they may wish to buy and sell, in all towns, rivers and creeks, water and markets, and places within territories known as Yoruba. And I, Adeyemi, pledge myself to show no favour and to give no privilege to the traders of other countries, which I do not give or show to those of the Queen. 3. British subjects and others under the Queen's protection are to have the first consideration in all trade transaction with my people. 4. No toll, duties, fees, imposts or charges shall be charged or levied upon the person or property of any British subject or other persons under Her Majesty's protection, other than and beyond that of those which are customary and reasonable, or may from time to time be agreed upon to be levied or charged by the Governor of Lagos and myself. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. The 1888 treaty recognized the Yoruba Kingdom as a nation equal to Britain in status. Direct quotation from the treaty. 7. It is hereby further agreed that no cession of territory and no other treaty or agreement shall be made by me other than the one I have now made without the full understanding and the consent of the Governor for the time being of the said colony of Lagos. In consideration of the faithful observance of the foregoing articles of the agreement, the Government of Lagos will make unto me a yearly dash to the value of 200 bags of cowries. But such dash may, upon breach or neglect of all or any one or more of the provisions of the agreement, and at the discretion of the Governor of the Colony of Lagos, be altogether withdrawn or suspended. This treaty is signed and sealed by Oyo this 23rd day of July, 1888. Great Yoruba Kingdoms. The 1888 treaty between Britain and the Ile-Ife of Oyo, signed on behalf of the Yoruba Kingdom. The 1888 treaty recognized the Yoruba Kingdom as a nation equal to Britain in status. To join the campaign to enforce the 1888 treaty, contact the Yoruba Party UK. Email address info@yorubapartyuk.org or website address www.yorubapartyuk.org.